A few years ago, Jim Murray gave this whiskey third best whiskey in the world, and it basically put Indian whiskey on the map. This is Amrut Indian Single Malt Whisky. Let's get into it. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Whiskey Dictionary, where I do the research to try to teach you a little something about what you're drinking. Now, I have to apologize. I have not reviewed nearly enough Indian whiskeys on this channel, and it's an awesome category. There really aren't that many to choose from, fair, but the ones I've had have all been really good. And, you know, the last one I did was like a year and a half ago for the Amrut Fusion. I think it was the winter of 2018, if I want to say, or into 2019. So it was a long time ago. But tonight I want to talk about the Amrut Indian Single Malt Whisky, and this is a really good one. You know, this has 94.5 points from Jim Murray. I mean, there's no downside to that, right? This is going to be a good whiskey, and I knew that going into it, but I wasn't prepared for how much I would actually like this. Now, let's talk a little bit about Amrut. So, Amrut, when I talked about the fusion before, that is a fusion of Scottish and Indian barley. This one is just Indian barley, but it comes from 2,600 kilometers away from where the distillery is in Bengaluru. It's just dumb American tongue, but I tried. So they have to travel 2,600 kilometers to get this barley up to the distillery, and that's insane. And especially when you consider the fact that these distilleries in India, they lose so much to the angel share. So a normal distillery, let's say Scotland, will lose 1 to 2%. Something in the United States, maybe 3 to 4 to 5%. Something in Texas, maybe like 7%. But India is losing like 12 to 15% of their whiskey to the angel share every year. So when you look at a no-age statement whiskey like this and say, hey, you know what, why is there no age on it? Well, this is about 4 years aged. And look at that color. I mean, it's not the darkest thing I've ever seen, but that is darker than a 4-year aged whiskey should be, especially this style. So, you know, they've got an interesting, what do you want to call it, climate going on up there. So let's go ahead and pour. But while I'm pouring, I want to, that wasn't a great pop, but, you know, not a new bottle. So while I'm talking, I want to just say that this week I'm doing the regular Amrut, and next week I'm actually going to be doing the cask strength. So if you have any interest in picking it up, go for it, or interest in picking this one up, go for it. Next week I'm going to be doing kind of a talk about the cask strength just a little bit. There's really not much more to talk about than what I'm going to be talking about here, but I am going to do kind of a compare contrast, because over here in the US there's about a $20 US difference between the two, and I want to know if that's worth it, and I want to kind of explore that a little bit. And I think it'd be a fun episode to film. So this, as I said, is about 4 years aged. It spends time in brand new virgin charred oak barrels as well as ex-bourbon barrels, and that's all there is to it. It's non-chill filtered, no color added, thankfully, and that's it. So, you know, you might end up seeing a little bit of cloudiness if you add some water to this or if you chill it. So just keep that in mind. That's totally normal for whiskey. That's what it's supposed to do. So stop chill filtering your whiskeys, people. All right, let's go ahead and give us a nose. Heavy caramel, heavy lemon citrusness, honey, huge honey, little bit of oak in there. Maybe a little bit of anise, which is like a licoricey kind of nose. Yeah, and then maybe a little cinnamon. It's got bourbon notes in here, but they're all in the wrong orders. Like usually if you get a bourbon influence on a nose, it's all going to be kind of together. You're going to have like something and then an underlying vanilla, caramel, cinnamon, oak. This one is, you know, it's honey, it's lemon, it's maybe a little cinnamon, it's oak, it's, you know, whatever else. So there's a lot going on the nose here, and actually that makes it really fun to smell. And interesting to see the bourbon influence. So very, very well done, guys. Cheers. The finish on that is very interesting. The initial taste is, it starts off very light, and then it proceeds to get heavier and heavier as you go into the finish, at which point it kind of dries on your tongue a little bit, and then it hits you with like a secondary finish. not in your throat, on your tongue. I don't know if that's unique. I don't know that I've really had that happen before, but it is really good. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the specifics. So we've got some cinnamon in there. I'm going to say some nutmeg. You've got, I want to taste another sip. Hold on. Cocoa. Yeah, a little chocolate in there. Just kind of this, I mean, for those of you that have had it, there's similar in the way that you could say that like Canadian whiskeys have like a Canadian whiskey flavor to them. Indian whiskeys so far for me have had this very specific flavor to them where it's almost like a spicy oak barrel. And that's coming across on this as well. There's, I don't know what the heck kind of icon I'm going to use for spicy oak barrel, but I bet I'll come up with something good. Probably, whatever. So it'll be good. But this taste is very good. I can totally see why Jim Murray was a fan of this. Now, here's where it's cool. It's got this whole flavor explosion going on and this complexity that just changes and changes and changes. But overall, it doesn't really like punch you in the mouth either. It's got so much going on at a 46% ABV. And that's awesome. That's really awesome. Because then not only can they make more of it, especially losing so much of the Angel's share, but even though I love cask strength, sometimes, drinking like a 60% whiskey is more of a challenge than it is an enjoyment. And I mean that in a good way, but still, it's almost like eating a hot pepper. Like you could have jalapenos and they taste delicious, or even a habanero and it tastes delicious. But then once you start throwing a Ghost Reaper in there, it's a challenge, and that's kind of what I like to think of cask strength as. It's a challenge to find the nuances in something crazy heavy. This has all the nuances, and I wouldn't even say the nuances. I would say they're just full-blown experiences at a 46% where you can drink this for a while. I really like this. I realize I just totally rolled into the overview here, but I like this one a lot. This is a buy it all day long for me, especially at the $47 I bought this at. This is a steal. Holy crap. I didn't even put that together. $47 for this. So, well done, Amrut. You did a very, very good job. I'm thoroughly impressed. So, thank you guys for joining me here on the Whiskey Dictionary. Don't forget, next week, cask strength. We're going to test this against this, especially after that little finish I just said about all the cask strength stuff. I have no idea what next week's episode is going to be like, but I bet it'll be good. So, thank you for joining me here, and by all means, check out some of these other videos. I'll put a link up to the other Indian videos that I've done, and something else that YouTube thinks that you'll like. And, consider joining the Patreon. There's good stuff there. So, have a great rest of your night. Cheers.